Big changes are coming for Rolex in 2025. The hype models of today could be gone tomorrow. Expect major anniversaries, new releases, and brutal discontinuations that could send shockwaves through the entire watch world. But forget the usual speculation and conjecture. This is about logic. What's due an upgrade and what's run its course? I've analysed the trends and looked at Rolex's recent moves to bring you my most realistic predictions yet. Hi guys, welcome back. I'm Vinny, a former accountant turned watch dealer, and you join me as the most wonderful time of the year fast approaches in the watch world, and that is of course Watches and Wonders 2025, where we will enjoy a raft of new releases from the world's top watch brands with all spotlight on Rolex. We've learned over the last few years if there's one thing that Rolex won't do, it is exactly what we're asking for, or rather exactly what we are expecting. So this video is going to try and be about looking at Rolex's past form, joining the dots, and really drilling deep into what will be the logical ideas of what we may see happen this year. So there is only one place to start really, and that is with the GMT Master 2 collection. This year, that collection will experience its 70th anniversary. Rolex has been slowly modernizing its most iconic models with larger cases, updated proportions, and more powerful movements. It was first the Submariner in 2020 and then the Daytona in 2023, and it is my belief that the GMT Master 2 will be next. And rather than some new bezel color combinations, as some have predicted, the Coke I'm sure you've heard about, I expect to see an entire evolution of the collection. So with Rolex, we don't get revolution, we get gradual incremental improvements where specification is concerned, and that's why I discussed the Submariner and Daytona collections there. They've done the same thing over the last few years, and I expect to see all current reference GMT Master 2 models to be given the axe and replaced with a new set of GMT Masters that may feature a larger case size, likely moving from 40mm to a more modern 41mm with refined lug profiles for a sleeker fit, moving away from the maxi case size which has been phased out on the Submariner, and perhaps more to a wider lug width and therefore a wider bracelet. Is it subjectively something to get excited about because it will be a new design? I think not. I think what we're most likely to see is the Pepsi remain in the collection, the Batman 2 remain, and we may see some cutting back of some of their solid gold pieces as well, as we did see with the Daytona collection when that was evolved. We've got to talk about the long-awaited return of the Coke bezel. Of course, this legend from the 1990s was sadly discontinued in 2007. We didn't see it last year. It was what we were all asking for, and it was predictable that Rolex didn't give it us. If they're going to give us something, it really will be their own design team to tell us what we want, and it certainly won't be what we are expecting. Rolex lead from the front when it comes to design and setting the trends. Next up, let's chat about the Oyster Perpetual collection then. Now, this was released a few years ago with great applause and admiration. The line was revamped entirely, introducing a new 41mm case size and a raft of colourful new designs, which created a secondary market that went into absolute overdrive. These watches were trading at 4-5 times the retail in some cases. I remember selling a turquoise or Tiffany blue dial Oyster Perpetual that was £5,500 at retail at the peak of the market for £25,000. Now, for me, it is in my opinion, and I've mentioned this before, that this year at Watches and Wonders, we will see a shift towards affordability and therefore a focus on stainless steel models and on bringing out more watches at that entry point. Now, for Rolex, the entry point in their brand is either the Datejust or the Oyster Perpetual collection. So I think it is fairly logical to say that we could see some new, colourful designs of Oyster Perpetuals. Let's get into the juicy stuff then, and it is discontinuations. I mentioned before I would expect the GMT Master 2 left-hand drive or destro sprite bezel to be given the axe this year. This watch did receive a lot of fanfare when it was released. A left-hand drive model, we'd not seen this before from Rolex. And for many, that interesting element of the design was really its downfall on the secondary market. So it hit the market at massive premiums above the retail price, and that premium, look, a premium did sustain for a long time on the secondary market, but it was always an annoyance to most wannabe buyers that it had that left-handed crown, with the vast majority of the population being right-handed individuals. So it didn't make sense. They wanted the watch for that green and black bezel, but that other design feature kind of detracted from the appeal, which meant that prices fell much quicker on the secondary market than we expected. Now that that has happened, really the hype has died down almost entirely on that piece. Probably is the right time that that gets the chop. My second prediction would be the culling of the Oyster Perpetual Celebration dial. It never made sense to me. It's more of a feminine design. It doesn't look too bad in 36mm, but in 41 it just doesn't work for the male wrist as far as I'm concerned. Popularity for this watch, look, has died away. It still carries a significant premium on the secondary market, but by definition, if it is named the Celebration dial, then surely it's not going to last very long if it's a commemorative special edition watch, albeit not limited in supply, but I'm sure the production run will be limited. So if they are Rolex to revamp the Oyster Perpetual collection this year, then I expect to see that watch quietly fall away and get the chop. My final prediction for discontinuations is a thinning out of solid gold pieces that nobody wants. You know, there are lots of Sky Dwellers, for example, which really struggle to sell on the secondary market. If those watches are struggling to move much cheaper than the retail prices in the last couple of years have only gone one way. Gold is still soaring in terms of its commodity price. Does it make any further economic sense to continue producing watches that they should be struggling to sell at the authorized dealers because the secondary market is really struggling to sell them as well? I don't think it does. I think we will see some trimming away around the edges of solid gold Sky Dwellers, perhaps even Yacht Masters. It would be a logical prediction, but you know, a lot of the time Rolex aren't logical in what they do. It's more, I think, of a prudent business decision if they were to do that. Finally, let's discuss my wildcard predictions. So I think these are 50-50 to actually happen this year. And for me, let's start with a collection which I fell in love with when it was first released, the 1908, 2 years ago. Perhaps a moon phase complication being introduced. We've seen this before with the Cellini line. The very last Cellini had that moon phase complication. And look, it logically would make sense that they would do it on the 1908 as well. My next wildcard prediction would be to do with the Datejust collection. Now, we've mentioned the anniversary of the GMT Master 2 line. There's also a major anniversary for the Datejust collection this year, and that is 80 years since its initial launch in 1945. I would expect logically to see an introduction perhaps of stone dials in this collection. Now, usually that was something that was reserved for the Day-Date collection, but the wider industry trend, we're seeing it with Cartier, and we're also seeing it with entry point luxury brands as well, where there is a focus on aventurine dials, on malachite dials, on tiger's eye dials, on jade dials. All of these sort of semi-precious stone dials are really in vogue at the moment, and Rolex were always the best at them, and we don't see it too often where they are released nowadays. So I'd love to see that anniversary coincide with an introduction of stone dials. Let me know, guys, what your thoughts are down in the comments below. Go check out vinnyfrancis.com, and I will see you in the next one. Cheerio.